Hello, Just Too Good here, back with another review, and today we're reviewing another LEGO The Hobbit set, and it's based on the Battle of the Five Armies movie, and it's conveniently called The Battle of the Five Armies. Now this is set number 79017, it has 472 pieces, 7 minifigures, 8 if you count the eagle, and it retails for $60 in the United States, and this is just starting to show up in stores, and without further ado, let's take a look at the packaging. So here is the box for the set. It is a $60 box size. Pretty cool design. And there's the back, and then you do get 2 instruction booklets, both of kind of a medium size. So here is the first minifigure, and it is Thorin Oakenshield, and this version is exclusive for the very cool exclusive molding of his hairpiece with the crown right there, and the new torso print. Now first let's take a look at him right here, and you can see he is very, very detailed, as goes for all other minifigures in this set. And you could just compare him to the version we got in 2012. And you can see how different they are because they have a different torso print and a different hairpiece. So anyways, his weapon right here is actually very cool. It's that short sword in that pearl gold color, which is very nice to get because that's very uncommon to get it in that color. And I did get a little boo-boo from opening up this set. And then you got this very cool molded hairpiece right here. Completely new and exclusive mold just for the set, which is a lot like the hair mold right here, except with a crown stuck upon it. And looking at his whole face right there, it looks very cool, but it's the same face print that we got since 2012 for Thorin. And you can see his back torso print right there, which looks nice. So here is Bard the Bowman, and this is the same version we got from San Diego Comic-Con earlier this year, in July. And this version is very, very cool, but it is different from the other 2 versions that we've gotten him for his torso and leg printing. And his torso and leg printing is very detailed. You can see the back of his torso right there. And his face print is the same one that we got in 2013. You can see his legs too, which are very detailed, and his facial expression right there. And of course that hairpiece is always nice to get because you only get it in black with the Bard minifigure, so you have 3 chances of getting him. And then you do got this very cool bow right here, but it's not really exclusive to the set. It's the long bow, and it looks great. And here is Dayan Ironfoot. I believe that's how you pronounce it, Dayan. And he has a very, very cool exclusive molded helmet right there. And an orange beard, which we have gotten that beard molding before, but we haven't gotten it in the casting of orange before. So that is very, very cool. So you can see how much detail goes into this minifigure. We'll take a look at the torso print later, but let's take a look at this new molding for the helmet. And you can see right here how detailed that is. You got 3 different colors. You got the red, the gold, and then some of the kind of flat silver. It's just a very, very cool molding overall, and it is exclusive to the set. And then looking at his axe right here, which does come with 2 translucent red hilts right there. I believe that's what it's called. And those look pretty cool, but we have gotten it in translucent red before, I believe in the Chima line. And let's take a look at his face print and his torso print. And now his face print is the same one that Gloin used in 2012, but you can see his torso print is completely new. It looks really cool, and you can probably use that with some castle minifigures because there's no shade of like peach or anything on them. So that's nice, and you do get here's a look at kind of the beard, and the beard did come before in other colors, but this is the first time we're getting it in orange. So that's it for Dayan, and now on to the next minifigure. Alright, so here is one of the 2 Gundabad orcs you get in the set. Both of them are identical. So here's the other one. But it is nice to, get 2 of them in the set because now you have a little army you could make out of those. And you do got a little scimitar right there, some nice front torso printing and some back torso printing. As goes for the back head printing, which looks really cool. And now this may look a lot like the Gundabad orc from last year. It is actually different just by one part alone, and that is the face print, because the face print this year has a lot more white face kind of paint on top there compared to the one from last year, which has a little bit less, and it also has different eyes from last year. So you can see them side by side. They are just a little bit different. So that's it for now, and now on to the next minifigure. And here is Legolas Greenleaf, and he is the same version that we got in 2012. There's actually no difference with this minifigure. So I guess he's the only minifigure who isn't exclusive to the set, because this is the same version from Mirkwood Spiders and the one from that polybag from 2013. But you could see he has a very detailed minifigure with his hairpiece right there, and his back torso printing, and his back facial printing. And he does come with a nice long bow to hold as his weapon, so that is pretty cool. And now on to the next minifigure. Last but not least, it's Azog, and Azog, I believe that's how you pronounce it, is very, very cool because this minifigure is really hard to get because he only came in one set last time, which was the Dol Guldur Battle, which was the biggest set from last wave, and this one is exclusive to the set for his face print alone. This face print, while I don't have the other one to compare it, actually has a more angry and open mouth compared to last year's, because last year's his mouth was a little bit open and he was more smirking than being angry. But you could see he does come with a weapon too, which looks very, very cool. That's brick built. And then he does have a very cool little arm right here, which is the same one from last year, but it's still a great attachment because it's kind of like a little hook for an arm. And you could actually take that out of the arm socket right there and put on other minifigures. So that is very, very cool. And you can see his torso print right here, which if you remove his headpiece, which is a very well-made headpiece because it's actually a hard plastic, you can see his torso print actually has some detailing even under where the headpiece is supposed to go. So that's a very nice touch by LEGO. And he does have some back torso printing. And looking at his headpiece, it actually just kind of attaches over the shoulders. It's a very, very hard plastic, as I mentioned, so it's a great quality. But it's sad to see that his torso is actually made in China, as indicated, because there's no black marking on the neck right there. So that is it for Azog, and now on to the actual set itself. Alright, so here are all the builds you get in the set. You get this build for a bridge and kind of a tower, and then you got this build for a ballista, and then the eagle right there. So let's take a look at each of these individually. Alright, so here's the eagle of the set. It's Gwyer, which is a specific character, and he is different from the other sets that do have eagles in them, which is the Battle at the Black Gate and the Tower of Orthanc, because this one actually has an exclusive printing on top right there. So you can see compared to this one from the Battle at the Black Gate, that top printing has a little bit of brown on it. But Gwyer actually is pretty cool because we haven't gotten an eagle since 2013, so this is the first eagle of 2014. Probably one of the last ones we're going to get since I think the Middle-earth line is going to end very soon. But you can see he is using that mold that has these two wings right here and that middle body part, and you can easily remove the wings by pulling them off of those clips right there. And you can move the wings up and down by folding them at their wingspan. So that is pretty sweet. And then the bottom, all he has are this little 2x2 stud receiver right there, so you can put on plates or whatnot. So that is pretty cool. And that's it for the eagle. And now on to the actual ballista. Alright, so here is the ballista build of the set for the Gundabad Orcs, and you can see the front right there, the side, back, and the other side. And really, this is probably one of the best ballistas that LEGO has put out in a while, because while we do get a lot of ballistas, this one is of a much bigger scale than the usual ones we get, and it's very, very detailed. Now, is that a good thing to the set? Personally, I don't think that's too good to the set, because I would have liked it if they focused on the tan building more, because rarely do we ever get tan fantasy era buildings, and the building and the bridge, while it is pretty cool, it is a little bit small. So anyways, we'll take a look at this build specifically, and this build actually does have some great parts to it. It actually has two ammunition parts right there, which are usually what LEGO would use as pillars, but they use them as ammunition here, and it's very clever how they use them, because they just kind of slide them right on there. There's no part holding them or whatever, so if you put it like that, they'll fall out easily. And what they have is they have this little Technic gear right here, which kind of creates friction right here if you push it like this, and pushing that will make this part kind of push all the way up like that. So depending on how hard you kind of slide this down, it will kind of show on how far these little ammunition parts will go. So let's try it right here. So if you push this down, those will go flying. So usually they don't go too far or too high, just because of how this kind of mechanism works. But they do actually work pretty well as ammunition. So you just kind of slide them back on if you want to reload them. So you can see the top part right here and how that gear works. There's this little sliding part right here, which you could push. You could push it this way, but I like pushing it by kind of sliding this part right here. And they use these cool pieces, which are usually used for Hero Factory and whatnot, as kind of a front design on the little ballista, and it looks a little bit like a bow and arrow, which kind of comes out very cool. Then on the side right here, they have these little sticks popping out So you can make the Gundabad orcs kind of wheel this around if they want. So you can kind of make them make it look like they're pushing it right here. And of course, it does have 4 wheels all around. So it is very mobile. And then here's a look at the bottom. And yeah, that's really it for this ballista right here. It looks pretty cool. And now on to the actual build of the tower and the bridge. Alright, so here's the tower and bridge combo. Very, very cool design because, like I said before, it has a nice tan design to it. And rarely do we ever get a tan design for a kind of a historical building, at least recently for a LEGO set. So that looks very cool. And here's a look at the back right here and the underside. So you can see there's a bridge and then there's a tower. So we'll look at each of them close up right now. Alright, so here's the bridge, and it's pretty cool because you could easily disconnect it from the tower just by a little bit of a pull right there, because all it is connected to the tower is by these 2 Technic pins right there. So you got this segment, which is the bridge, and it has a very rugged design to it, as goes with a lot of the LEGO Hobbit builds. You see there's some nice tan colors all around it, and it looks like some nice white colors to represent snow or whatnot. So you can see here's the back right here, the side. Then back at the front, like I said, there's some nice white all over it to kind of represent snow. And there is one play feature found on this segment, which is just from this little 2x4 tile right here. And basically, if you push that olive tile, it'll make that whole front part kind of explode. And that's really it for this build on the bridge. You could kind of put your minifigures all over if you want to kind of make a battle scene on the bridge. And looking at the bottom, there's some little details here and there, like there's a little stud right there, and even there's a hidden skeleton head right there. But that's it for that build, and now let's go on to the tower. Alright, so here's the tower area. Of course, this is the part that connects to the bridge. We'll get a 360 view of that. There's a little interior part, which only has this little scimitar and holder, and then this spear right here. But it is nice that they do have an interior nonetheless. Then you got this part right here, which has another exploding feature used by this 2x4 olive tile. Then you got this part, which is a little bit of rock formation, and then this kind of sealed off area with probably a ply or like a slab of hardwood. So that's a pretty cool design. And looking at this little play feature right here, if you push this part down, that whole area kind of explodes. So that is the balcony and some little kind of blocks of brick maybe, and you could just kind of put that right there and rebuild it to your pleasure, and then you just kind of slip that back on, and it all rebuilds very simple and very easy. So that is pretty cool. I do like those exploding features. Then going to the middle section, you got this little window right here. Balcony. Kind of a little opening door to an interior. And then you got this part, which is actually where the bridge connects. So it's kind of interesting that it is sealed off. So if you want kind of the army to attack it, they'll have to kind of knock this part over like that. So that's pretty cool, and then you could just disconnect it easily like that, as shown earlier. And yeah, that's it for the middle section, and now let's move on to the top. Alright, so here's the top of the tower. You can see that there's actually some nice fire parts right here, which go right under the top part, which kind of go all over the top of the balcony. So that's kind of a cool detail. And the top part does have this very nice piece right here, which is kind of this little archway piece, which is molded already, and we've gotten that a few times, like in the Friends line and I think the Princess line, but really this molding right here in this color, this tan color, is exclusive to this set. So that's a very cool to get an exclusive tan casting of that piece. And then for the roof right here, it's kind of broken down. You got this whole side, which looks pretty clean, but then once you get to this corner right here, there's all this little, I guess, snow or whatnot. And on the top, there's this little 2x2 jumper. And I'm guessing that's where you would attach the eagle of the set, so you could kind of perch over there. And that fits on pretty well. So that is pretty cool, and that's really it for this whole build. And now let's go on to the final verdict. Alright, so I have to say, despite my initial reaction, I really, really like this set. I think that really the builds of the set are pretty cool, especially I love this tan building and bridge right here. I just wish it was bigger, but the minifigures are really the star of this set. Honestly, I think they could have probably scaled down on the ballista and made this a bigger building, because rarely do we ever get tan buildings in any type of historical or fantasy line in LEGO. Like, We haven't really gotten many in Castle or Lord of the Rings or Hobbit before. And of course, I don't think we'll get any in the new Elves line, which I kind of do count as a fantasy historical line. But I love the design of this building. I just wish it was bigger. And I think if they scaled down on the artillery vehicle right here with this little ballista, it could have been a much bigger building. And the ballista itself isn't really that bad. I think it's probably one of the best ballistas LEGO has put out. But we get so many of these in different various fantasy lines in LEGO before. So it's really something that they shouldn't have focused on, and maybe focus on the more unique building part of the set, which was this bridge and building right here in tan. But getting past that part, I think the stars of the set are the minifigures, because those minifigures in this set do not disappoint. You get 2 minifigures with exclusive moldings, which are Thorin and Dayan's little hat hair accessories right there. Also, you got Azog with an exclusive face print. The Eagle has an exclusive top printing right there. You also got 2 Gundabad Orcs with exclusive face prints and exclusive Bard outfit, which looks fantastic. The only thing that kind of disappoints is that LEGO Lost doesn't have any exclusive printing or outfit whatsoever. That's fine, because we've gotten so many elves before. It's just alright to get the LEGO Lost. So yeah, for the $60 price point, the actual piece count isn't too good, because it is 472 pieces for $60. But if you get past that, I think the minifigures kind of make up for it in some parts of the way, because you got some great molding on the minifigures, as I pointed out earlier. So I do rate this set a B+. I think it's a pretty cool set, especially for $60. But when you put the name The Battle of the Five Armies, it really could provide a great battle scene if you play around with your LEGO, sometimes like I do. You could put the minifigures and just kind of make them battle one another. You have all these exploding features on this building right here, a huge ballista as a big weapon / vehicle. So yeah, that's what I think about this set, and I have to say it was great reviewing the LEGO The Hobbit line. This is probably the last LEGO The Hobbit set I want to review, because the only one that's left is the Lonely Mountain set, and I don't plan on getting that. So really, I have all these good memories reviewing these sets. I remember getting the Mirkwood Spider set back in 2012, or eBaying the Riddles of the Ring set in 2012, also getting that Hobbit poster in 2012, and then last year reviewing the Lake Town set early before anybody else. All those memories are really good, and it's sad to see the Hobbit line go, but really, I don't know what else they could really do from here besides maybe a UCS Smog. Lord of the Rings, on the other hand, yeah, they still have some stuff they could do there, but I don't think we're going to see any more of that either. So it's great reviewing all this stuff, and thanks for watching this review, and I will see you guys later.